Hey y'all, welcome back to Spirited Outdoors. I've got a deer hide out that I had in a frame laced up. I laced it up with a hair on it, didn't do nothing to it. Propped it up over here to save it for later. As it sat there for about probably 6 months to a year, it got damp a couple of times, the moisture and whatnot. Bugs got on there and eat all under the hair, which is fine. Now I get to make buckskin out of it. So I scraped all the hair side already. I scraped most of it in the frame, and you can see where I have scraped. So this is basically rawhide at the moment. What I'm doing right now is some dry scraping on the flesh. Yeah, this is the flesh side. I'm taking membrane off. I have done scraped on this side is the hair side. We're gonna tan this and make some buckskin. So what I'm gonna do is finish scraping this. I'll bring it over here where you can see, but I'll bring it and look right here. You can see where this color changing. That's a membrane that's coming off. And right off the top of my head, there's a dermis, epidermis, and a hypodermis. Right off the top of my head, I can't remember which one's which. None of it is really that important as much as some people make you think it is, because it's all got to come off except the main layer of skin. And I'm using the back side of this fleshing knife that I've recently redone. And y'all, the back side of it is working excellent for this. I'm going to finish scraping this side, and then I'm going to put it in a pickle of salt and aluminum sulfate. And after I come out of that, we'll decide how we're going to tan it. I'm probably going to tan it with Murphy's oil soap. I have the deer hide tanning formula. I've got some buckskins that looks good. I hear a lot of people say, well, that stuff don't work. I got a video on one that I did. It done really good. Okay, this right here, salt. I got it out of my salt box in my smokehouse. I don't know exactly how much it is, but that's a decent sized little bowl I can scoop with. And it's probably about 2 or 3 pounds of salt. I've got water. This is rainwater out of my rain barrel right over here. I'll put about 3 of these in there, but I'll put the next one in a little bit. All right, right here, you only need, for 3 gallons of water, I think the recipe that I read with aluminum sulfate says 1/8 of a cup per gallon of water. So I don't know exactly, but what I do is just kind of pour some in there. That is plenty. I'll probably add a little more water. But I want to get my hide down in there before. Now I scraped this pretty good. Now I did, while you're doing this dry, be careful on these edges. I ripped a hole there, and somewhere else I ripped a pretty good, right here. I ripped a pretty good hole in it, which is okay. I'm going to probably try to make a garment. I'm working on trying to get enough buckskins to make me a buckskin jacket, possibly a pair of leggings before it's over with. So I've scraped this. It's been dry. I put it out in the rain yesterday, propped it up in that loom. I had it in this frame. Now I have got to do some work on my frames. I'm fixing to improve them. See how they wiggle back and forth? So we're going to work on some frames and improve them, because I plan to do some buckskins, and I planned on working on doing it a couple different ways just to see what I like the best. So far, I'm a pretty good fan of it being wet scrape, raw, start out with a very green hide. Now, as that hide hydrates and gets softer, I'll come out here with my stick and stir this pretty good. So my tomahawk I made out of a railroad spike. I had to pin it. I didn't get my end real good on there. I got to do some work on that. For right now, I'm going to put this brick on there. But I have already been experimenting with some Murphy's oil soap, and it works as good as brains so far. I'll take you over here and show you. This hide here, I started tanning on it last year. So I've been out there refleshing over it this morning. It has been in the Murphy's oil soap. I pulled it out, fleshed over it, put it back in the Murphy's oil soap tanning solution, and it's come out. This one, I did pickle it, I think. No, this one did not get pickled. So we're gonna see how they come out. Just pull this hide out of the pickle. Y'all, it's still. This hide was really dry when I put it in there. So I'm gonna scrape it, and then I'm gonna rehydrate it in just water. I don't know if it grained good. It don't seem to be accepting the stuff. And I'm using the back side of this. So I'm just gonna go over it, and then I'm gonna put it in just water for a while, because these glues, you see this coming out, it didn't get grained good when it was still. You can see this hide is still really stiff. Anyway, you see how that's changing color as I go down it. But anyway, I'm gonna get all of this. I'm gonna go over both sides of this hide, and then we're gonna go into a bucket of water for a little while. Y'all, this is coming off really good now. When you're doing a hair off hide, if something goes wrong, it don't come out like you want it, you can just about redo it and not hurt nothing. Now with hair on, once you get something wet and hair starts slipping, you're finished with it as far as having a pelt, having a nice fur. It's a little more tricky because there's a lot that can go wrong, but as far as like buckskin, if it don't come out like you want it, it comes out stiff or whatever, you can redo it. And a lot of that, most of the time, is due to it not being fleshed well enough. Grained flesh. Flesh would be scraping the flesh side. Graining is scraping the hair side, which is what I'm doing now. So there's no shame in not being happy with what come out like this did and redoing it. You have to get this hide glue and these fibers and stuff out of this hide before you can tan it. So all this process is getting this stuff out. So put it in clean water. It'll leach all that stuff out until the pH is balanced and what's in the hide is equal to what's in the water. You've got to change that water out and let it soak further out of there. The ideal thing is to lay this in a running stream. Running water, and it'll just constantly keep clean water. Vinegar will help with that if you put a little bit of vinegar in there. That is why I use the pickling. And that pickling with that, it loosened all that stuff up in there. So while I was scraping on this, I wanted to explain. I will drop some links to a couple of books that I've recently purchased, studied, very good books on buckskin. So I've dropped that in there. I think that'll help you if you were getting into this too. It's hard to put everything you need to know into a video. This is the flesh side. I want you to really see what's going on here. I really fleshed this hide really good before I laced it up in that thing and let it dry. But you look right here, all of that's peeling off. That is membrane. It's, I think, the hypodermis. I'm not sure. I've been reading about all this, but it's on the flesh side. And I fleshed it, and you wonder why, when you flesh it one time and you try to tan it and it don't come out. I have done this and wonder, well, I know I fleshed it good. Well, after it has soaked and dried, you see all that peeling off. That is preventing tannin solution from getting into the hide. So that's why I say, and I said it in the other video, when you think you've got it fleshed good, flesh it some more. Y'all, it started getting dry on this one part right here. So I just wet my hand and rub this. I don't want it sopping wet, but it's just getting stiff as I'm working over this, drying and making it want to tear. So just lightly moisten that. It goes back pretty limber pretty quick. So you just got to kind of play all of this by feel. The reason I know that, I ripped a hole in it somewhere right here on this side, which is right next to the edge. I'm not worried about it. I'll cut that out on my project anyway. This is just a bucket of clean water I just dipped up, and after last night I have absolutely plenty of that. I'm just gonna shove that hide down in just clear, clean water. I dipped up out of that rain barrel, so there's no chemicals in it whatsoever. And I'm gonna leave this in here for just a couple of hours. I don't want to leave it in pure water for a long time, because I don't need to do nothing to it but let it leach out some of the hide glues and things that are in there. Then I'm gonna go back into the pickle with it. With a pickle, you can't leave stuff in a pickle for too long. It can just stay in there indefinitely. This right here, been in here a couple of hours. I'm thinking about wringing it out good, just to get the moisture out, and then putting it back in there. But you can see this water, how it turned the color. I'm gonna pour that out. We're gonna go with fresh water again. Back with clean water. Get them couple of leaves out. I'd hate for 2 leaves to tan my hide. Alright, we're gonna go back in there for just a little bit. Put this hide up here. I got it out of that fresh, clean water. Let me turn y'all around. I realize you can't hardly see nothing with the sun that way. I put it up here over this beam, looped it over, and then just rolled it up. And I'm gonna stick this stick in there, and we're gonna get all of that water. Trying to get me. The reason is it can't soak up tannin solution if it's full of water. Not to mention, we're gonna loosen all these fibers up doing this. And you can't hardly tear that hide. It's a lot more resilient than you think. All right, that's good enough. I'm gonna let this hang right here for a minute. And that was an old axe handle, and it's also a breaking stick for when it's in a hat and looped in a frame. I was going to unroll it on here so you'd just see kind of how I rolled it up. I know I didn't show that. I had just basically looped it over there. I'm going to turn it half over here just so I can pull on it a little bit. This hide, for some reason, after it dried like it did, is a lot stiffer than most hides will be at this point. It hung out there on the frame for a year, so I don't know. It ain't like what a fresh hide would be. But we're gonna tan it anyway. It's gonna come out good. It's gonna come out good. Let me go get the Murphy's oil soap. We're gonna get this bucket of tanning solution mixed up. So what I'm using is Murphy's oil soap. You want about a half a cup. I probably put a little more than a half a cup. So this is soap and oil mixed together already. You can do this with same process with eggs. You mix your egg yolks, warm water, same process as brains. You can do it with bar soap and neat's foot oil mixed together. It's like a quarter bar of soap and a quarter cup of neat's foot oil. You mix together and you got a half a cup. It equals about a half a pound of brains. You use a half a pound of brains for a deer hide. So I'm gonna get this mixed up with my favorite stirring stick here. And you want this water warm. I warmed this water up. You don't want it hot, you just want it warm. See it sudding up. All right. Now this hide is moist, it is not wet. You cannot put a sopping wet hide in here and it soak up anything, okay? Now I'm gonna put a brick on there to hold that down in that soap. Now we're gonna let this sit here. I'm probably gonna let this sit for 2 days. 12 hours should be good. All right, y'all, we're gonna get this buckskin out of this solution, tanning solution. We're gonna hang it up over here and we're gonna squeeze it out good. All right, you just kind of drape that side over and then flip that over just a little bit and start rolling it up. Now this will open up the fibers and it'll force a lot of that solution through the hide that ain't already. But now I have soaked this actually about 3 days. It does not take that long. I just couldn't get back to it. I didn't have time to start working it. And being its hair off, buckskin, you can do that. It's a big hide. See all that water. The last hide that I did, I've got a buckskin over here. I've been stretching on a little bit, trying to finish it up. I wound up putting it back in the tanning solution again. Now y'all, I wanted to lace this up in my frame over here, but time is not gonna allow me to stay with it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stretch this a little while and bag it up, and we're gonna put it in a refrigerator and get it back out and finish this video, softening it later. All right, I've got it pulled back out, and I'm just gonna pull on this some right now, and then we're gonna start letting it stretch, letting it dry. Now I'm bad to put my hand up there and just pull down on it till it starts drying. But I'm sure that I'm gonna have to bag this up after a while. All right, we're gonna lace this hide up into this frame to stretch it. It's been a long time since I've done one this way. I've had this in the refrigerator for a couple of days till I got time to know that I was gonna be here to fool with it. Now I want to do it with a thick neck side up. So I'm gonna take I've got 2 awls. Show you this first. This is the one I made the other day. I may use it, I don't know. I'm gonna try to use this bone awl to poke my holes. So put this in my back pocket and hope it don't stick me while you have to pay attention to that. Now, lay that there for a second. I bought 2 brand new rolls of string to do this. I've got some junk down here under my feet. This is what I want to use. Now it is nylon. I wanted just a cotton clothesline. They didn't have any where I was at. I went ahead and I got some, it says it's 550 cord. I don't know. But if this, I may use it. We're going to see. I'm going to start with this. I didn't give a whole lot for either one. This was like $5.99 and this was $7.99, which ain't a bad deal for 100 foot of reflective. If it is $5.50, I kind of got my doubts, but it'll work for what I'm doing. I've got some like nylon small string. I wanted to use the bigger rope because it's a less chance of, while it's damp, it tearing through. I have been trying to work them and they'll tear through, and it's just aggravating. Because what we do is we take this stick right here. This is an old wood splitter handle that I had, or sledgehammer handle. I don't remember, it broke off. And I took my grinder and grinding belt and made a point on it. You can see, and that's what we'll work that hide with to stretch it. So let's get started on what we are doing here. Try not to tear that. That way I just got one piece of garbage. Well, this dog is fixing to have a fit. I had to go see what's going on. That dog right yonder, she don't like it. My parents' dog, it comes up here, and they kind of have an ongoing rift between them. All right, which one of these is the end of my... I hammered staples into this. I'm not sure how well that's gonna work. When I start putting tension on them, they seem okay. They may come out. I may need to drove them into the side. It started splitting a little bit, so we just kind of gonna see how this plays out. And I might should have. But anyway, what we're gonna do is take our awl, and it's fairly sharp. But this hide is fairly thick up here on this neck area. So that's why I got a big flat handle. I can push this against my chest. And make a... I can see right now. Whoa, now. You gotta get your foot off of the lacing here. tried with this. I don't know. I think I want to stop here and do difficult decisions here. The moment of truth. We're just gonna cut it apart. Y'all don't know how hard that was for me. Take your nylon rope, work it down to the outside is over the inside, because you got that inside core. I'll show you on the other end. And that'll burn your little old tender fingers if you ain't careful. Run it out. And see how the inside core of it is not showing. Then it don't start trying to come apart on you. Most of you know that. Somebody did know. All right, instead of getting on my knees, we're gonna be smart about this. Because there ain't no sense in being stupid. Come over here and got against this because that one post is wobbling back and forth. But what you're doing is you're just working, and I'm not gonna get real vigorous right now. We just gonna lightly. And as you do this, we've got to stay with this all day now. As you do this, I'll come down here and I'll flip it over and I'll pull these laces tighter. Obviously the top is going to be pulled pretty tight. I'm not going to have to do a lot there, maybe a little bit. Mainly I'm trying to work it down this way because working up and down, you're going to stretch it out this way mostly. But to tell y'all my technique, I'm going to work all of this real good and I'm going to go do something else. 15, 20 minutes later, hour later, come back, go over it all again. You don't have to stand here and just constantly rub it the whole time. Can you stand here and constantly rub it? Absolutely. Probably will come out better for you, but it is not 100% necessary. But now, if something happens and I need to stop, it is not impossible to unlace this, roll it up, put it back in that garbage bag, and go put it back in the freezer. So A lot of people think once they put it on here, you can't take it back off. It's because I've got my holes made. I can go back through the same holes most likely. I'll have to maybe stick an awl back through them. But you can see that slowly turning white. Before I cut the camera off, we're gonna go ahead and pull taunt on this bottom up here. And see, that is why this is all in several different roots, okay? Grab the hide, pull it. See how easy that was? While it's still wet, you kind of help as you tighten this up where you ain't just pulling on the rope, pull up with your hand. Because you are fooling with a wet hide here. Well, I thought I was going to get enough to reach back up there. I'm gonna knot it off right there though. Pretty simple, y'all. One thing I wanted to mention is when you're doing this, you can feel places that it's tighter. So you kind of got to pay attention, see how right there it's got to, so you know that needs working a little more. So pay attention to those tight spots and go over them. Work towards your holes. Don't just keep going back and forth over that hole. It'll rip on out. That's where a knife cut. But now for the last little bit, I really hadn't had to tighten much. I think I've got most of the stretch to what it's gonna be. And like over here around these, now I could probably stretch while we at it. We'll go ahead and do these because I haven't done any of these sides. Just so y'all know. Just that simple right there. And see that pull that side back tight too. So you just do that alone. Keep it pulled tight. It helps you not have to bear into it so far when you're working. And just keep working it. I had to bring this thing inside last night. It got late. I worked at about midnight. Today is Sunday. We had church. So it has been over 12 hours since I worked this. It is not as soft as I would really like it to be, but I am okay with it. It is soft enough for what I'm doing probably. It's got several holes in it, so it's not going to be an ideal hide to make something with. And the reason it got them in there is because I let it stay out there dried for about a year. And the way I done it. But I do like working it in this frame with this stick a whole lot better than I do trying to hand break it over stuff. Saying that it is not as dry, you have the option of wetting a towel or a rag or a sponge, wet it in a bucket of water, and wipe this and dampen it. Not sop it wet, just dampen it. And then you can go back over it and start back over the process. Possibly, you can take this off the rack frame, wad it up, stick it back in a bucket of water, and start completely over if you choose. So it's all in how much work you put into this as to how it's going to turn out. The softness of this hide really don't have a lot to do at this point with this tannin solution and all that. That'll show up whenever in time. Now, yeah, it does have a little to do with it. It has a lot to do with it, but it's not so much as the softness. Softness has a lot to do with how much you work it while it's drying. Now, the tanning process shows up. Does it go back to hard? Then you know if your tanning took or not. And then obviously you've got to smoke it so that if it gets wet, it don't go back hard. Because even the best tanning solution, if it gets wet right now, it'll go back hard because it needs to be smoked to encapsulate those fibers. All we're doing is we put oil in there and then we worked it. So I'm fairly pleased with it. So what I'm fixing to do is cut it out of this hide. I had to go get my knife. The sheath come out a little bigger than I wanted. I put buckskin inside of there. Fringed it. Made me a neck knife. It'll also sew this on there. Go to a belt loop. Very small little patch knife. Y'all seen that in a video. I have pretty well finished it. I've got a little more work I'm going to do, touching up stuff on it. I've got it pretty sharp. We're going to use it to cut this out. So what you do, and being that I've got holes, I am just going to connect my holes. This this lacing around the side, you can use this stuff, but most of the time all right, y'all. And you see that it is not just as soft as I really would like it, but it is fairly soft. So one more thing you can do, if you want to further soften it, and this is why I'm not a fan of a neck knife. I can't handle them. But I did think it was cool. But I don't like when I lean over stuff dangling in my way. We have buckskin. Now we are going to smoke this. I'll hang this up in a rack in my smokehouse and we'll smoke it. It's fairly soft. I mean, it ain't like just soft as I would really like it to be, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I had it really, really dry before I started. Anyway, thank y'all for watching Spirit of the Outdoors. One episode on tanning. I got some more videos. I'm doing a brain tan video, so stick with us for those. They'll be coming up in the future. Thank you for watching Spirit of the Outdoors. We'll see y'all next time. Remember, the best way to do things, the way you like to do it. We'll see y'all.